Hello, PEB students. I hope you're all well. This is Mr. Nichols, your class teacher, and it's time for our live lesson number 1. Our unit for Module 1 is Sportsmanship, Rules and Safety Practices. We begin every lesson exactly the same way. I share with you my contact details and some top tips to help you pass the course. So if you want to contact me, Google Chat or email at any time. If you want to join the live help, it's Monday to Thursday. Please check the calendar very carefully because my times do change on a week-to-week basis. In the announcement section of the homepage are my top tips to help you pass the course. I go through these at the start of every lesson as a reminder of what you should be doing. So number 1, for a discussion, if you want to get full marks, you need to write 3 to 5 of your own sentences and reply to 2 other students with a big long sentence and not something short such as I agree or good point. Number 2, if you ever need help with a question, if you send me 3 things, I can get back to you very, very quickly. The first thing I need from you will be the assignment or activity number. The next thing I need for you is the full name of what you're referring to and a screenshot of the question. Do that, I'll get back to you very quickly. There's some students who message me and say, "Hi, Mr. Nichols, I don't understand question 1. That question 1 could relate to hundreds of question 1s, so please try to be as specific as possible. Number 3, when you're answering questions worth 3 or 4 marks, a 2 or 3 word answer from you will not be enough to get full marks. These types of questions usually ask you to describe something, define something, or explain something, and therefore require a longer answer. When you're sending work to be graded, please make sure it is the original worksheet. A few students are creating their own worksheets, and I cannot grade anything unless it is the original one. So go to the worksheet, download it, save it, type onto it, and upload that to be graded to Canvas, please. Number 5, don't convert documents to PDFs. Sometimes a PDF doesn't open, and this might delay your work getting graded. Number 6, submission dates. Every piece of work has a submission date, and I know sometimes you cannot meet that date. You might be traveling, you might be ill, you might have poor Wi-Fi, for example, which is why we have 30 days after the submission date before the work becomes a permanent 0. Now, I don't like giving you a permanent 0. I know you don't like receiving them, so please check the calendar very carefully leading up to PZ dates. Finally, every piece of work you submit, please make sure you are answering in full, complete sentences. Check your grammar, check your punctuation. A lot of the rubrics have a couple of marks allocated to grammar and punctuation, so please do your spell check before you submit anything. It would be a real shame if you missed out on full marks because you didn't do such a simple and easy task. Right, hopefully you've got a pen and piece of paper with you. There are 8 activities for you to complete today. There will be some curriculum content input from me, and I'll give you plenty of thinking time to write your answers down before I reveal all of the answers. So we're looking at sportsmanship, rules and safety practices. Like I say, 8 activities for you to complete. Let's begin then by looking at what a definition of sportsmanship is. You probably heard the word sportsmanship for the very first time many years ago. Maybe your coach at your team practice or your PE teacher told you about sportsmanship in your first PE class. One definition is as follows: the quality of showing fairness, respect, and generosity towards the opposing team or player and for the sport itself when competing. So keywords FRG, fairness, respect, generosity. FRG. So let's try and remember that. You might need that information later. Let's look at some scenarios then related to sportsmanship. Imagine you're part of a soccer practice. You and another teammate run after the ball to gain possession, and right when your teammate is about to get the ball, they trip and your knee hits them in the face. Your teammate's on the ground and in pain. However, you see you've got the perfect opportunity to get possession of the ball and score a goal. What should you do? Now, remember, we are looking at sportsmanship, so we have to have correct and right answers only on your piece of paper, please. So, running after the ball to gain possession, teammate trips, hits the face, on the ground, in pain. You could score. What should you do? On your piece of paper, I'm going to give you 45 seconds to write down some keywords, some key phrases, maybe an example, a description of what you should do. And your 45 seconds starts now. Right, last few seconds then for I reveal what was covered in the lesson based on sportsmanship. Sportsmanship is not just about winning. It's also about caring for and respecting others. Even though you may be tempted to seize the opportunity to take the ball and leave the other player on the ground, the respectful, right thing to do is stop, make sure your teammate is okay. So hopefully you've said you would stop the game and check on your teammate. Because that's the right thing to do, because that's sportsmanship. Right, another scenario. If you play competitive sport, you'll probably face at least one occasion when you have the urge to say or do something that will serve no purpose but to make you feel a little better because you've expressed the frustration you're feeling. Maybe you lost a game, failed to score any points, and you are upset and mad that your team did not play and you didn't win. What's the best way to express your feelings? So you've just played a game, you didn't score any points, your team didn't play well, you lost the game, you've got that urge to say something. You're angry, you're upset. However, what's the best way for you to express your feelings rather than having a rant and a rage and screaming and shouting at your teammates? What's the best way? I'll give you 30 seconds to write your answers down, the correct answers, hopefully. Some keywords, some phrases, maybe a sentence or two. 30 seconds. What's the best way to express your feelings? Your time starts now. Right, let's take a look at a sentence or two that you could say that wouldn't offend anyone. Say how you feel in a way that doesn't blame others or even yourself. Blaming and name calling are destructive to team morale. Indeed, instead, you could say, like, I'm really bummed that we lost that game. Or, I wish we'd played better defence in the second half. So it's always best to have sentences such as these two rather than screaming and shouting at your teammates. Right, moving on then, away from sportsmanship, we're now going to take a look at rules and safety. Playing soccer when the temperatures are too high or in extreme humidity can increase the risk of heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Hydration can help an athlete avoid this or these issues, but sometimes a game may be postponed due to extreme heat and for the safety of players. The question is, why might it be dangerous to play soccer in heavy rain? You might be playing on grass, you might be playing on astroturf, but there is a lot of rain and it is dangerous to play in heavy rain. Why is that? Have a think. You've probably played soccer or a team sport outside in the rain. It might be that you have played hockey or rugby. This example is soccer in heavy rain, and it's dangerous to play team sports such as that in heavy rain. Quite straightforward, some of the answers here. Why might it be dangerous? Jot your answers down. Think of the surface. If it is grass, there might be puddles. If it's astroturf, there could also be puddles there as well. Why is it dangerous? A few seconds, jot your answers down. Right, let's compare what's on your piece of paper for answers to what were actually in the lesson. Here we go. Playing on a field, it's likely to hold water and have swamp-like features. This will increase the risk. It might be a slip or a fall, resulting in serious injuries. Also, if it's heavy rain, players can't see, they might collide. Since soccer players wear little protective gear, accidental pileups can be dangerous. They're not wearing helmets or shoulder pads. A soccer player just wears shin pads, so it might cause a dangerous pileup. So as long as you've written down slips and trips and falls because of water, colliding into each other, and they don't wear much protective gear, that is fine. It's kind of straightforward. You are taking part in lots of sports. Right, still with rules and safety. We're going to compare two sports now and find out why one can be stopped during rain and one would usually play on if there was a little bit of rain. So why do you think that rain can stop a baseball game? Think of what baseball players wear and the movements they make, but not usually a football game. So why might rain stop baseball? Think of the actions that baseball players do, how they score a home run, what they have to do, but not usually a football game. If there's a little bit of rain, football doesn't usually get stopped. It might if it's on the previous slides where there was a lot of rain and it was flooding, but it's rain. Can stop baseball, not usually a football game. So we're thinking football is NFL. We're not talking soccer now. This is football. This is NFL. So baseball might get stopped, but not an NFL or football game. A few seconds to write your answers down. Have a think. Think of the actions that a baseball player does. Think of the equipment and safety things that an NFL player wears. That might help you. Last few seconds to jot your answers down. Right, let's see. It's definitely an answer to do with equipment and what the players are wearing, surely. Here we go. NFL players play in protective equipment head to toe, from their helmet all the way down to their football studs or cleats, as they call them in America. And they've got padding on their shoulders, on their back, on their thighs, etc., etc. In contrast, baseball players, they don't wear anything. There might be a helmet for the batter and the catcher. They might wear a mitt, but there's not much protective gear there. Slipping, falling, or colliding with another player is more dangerous when there's no padding or helmets to protect themselves from the impact of other players. Right, that was straightforward. NFL players wear lots of protective equipment. Baseball players don't wear any. And that's why if it's raining, one can carry on being playing and one needs to stop. Right, still with rules and safety, let's take a look at somebody going backpacking for an overnight, one-night stay in the wilderness. Backpacking is a form of hiking which you carry your food and supplies, lodging on your back and shoulders, so you can spend at least one night outside, usually in a park or other wilderness area. Backpacking trips usually cover much longer distances than a day hike, and it involves various types of terrain. It might be a hill or a small mountain, pathways, lakes, streams, etc. What are some important rules to consider and make part of your plan when backpacking? So, planning to go backpacking, you know it's an overnight stay. It's not a little day hike where you could probably wear your trainers or your sneakers and just go for a little walk. This is longer distances with a big rucksack on your back. What things should you consider? What about your food and your water? How heavy is the bag going to be? Bag going to be too heavy? What shall you have on your feet? So have a think of some rules. I've given you lots of clues there. I've more or less given you the answers. 30 seconds then to write down a couple of rules to consider and make part of your plan when you are going on your overnight backpacking trip. 30 seconds starts now. Right, last few seconds then. 3, 2, 1. Let's take a look. So carrying this very heavy rucksack can wear you down. It's going to be tiring. So it's important to have some little practice hikes before your big hike, getting used to carrying the weight. Maybe start off with £10, then 20 and build up. Have some practice walks first. Other important rules. You wouldn't go hiking up in the mountains or through rivers and streams and hills in a pair of pumps or sneakers or trainers. You need some good hiking boots. So make sure you've got some hiking boots as part of your plan. Wearing 2 layers of thick socks. 2 pairs is better than 1. If you wear 2 pairs, the socks rub against each other. Therefore, you might not get a blister If you only wear one pair of socks, the sock might rub against your skin and you might get a blister. And think about nutrition, carrying water. How much water do you need per person? How much food do you need? You might also have written down informing people of where you are going in case anything happens. We are travelling from point A to point B, where we will camp, and from point B, we're going to point C, and that's the end of the trip. So you'll inform people maybe where you are going and what your plans are in case of emergencies. There's a few points and a few rules for when you go on your trip. Now, if you're out hiking, you might get an injury. Someone might fall and scrape or cut themselves. It could be more serious and have a broken bone or hitting your head. Now, how do you treat these? Some of these are very, very straightforward. If someone breaks their bone, what do you do? Yes, I know you're writing these answers down now. Someone bangs their head, what should you do? Or if you or yourself have a scrape or a little cut, what should you do? How do you treat them? Some of them are very simple. Some of them might require a trip to the emergency room. Just write down 2 or 3 words next to each one. To treat a scrape and a cut, I would blank, 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 blank. For a broken bone, I would A, B, C, D, E. And if it hit my head, I would do this, 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 this. So again, 30 seconds, a couple of words for each one. And we'll see what the answers are. You've just done this during Module 1. We're covering Module 1 now, just towards the end of Module 1. If you're keeping up to date, you've got all of these answers. A few seconds then to write your answers down. So scrapes and cuts, they're very easy to do. You'll have dealt with a scrape and a cut yourself many times. So what do you do for a scrape and a cut? Very, very easy. Clean it. Put a band-aid on it. And just make sure, maybe put some antibiotic cream on it. And just make sure it's not continuing to bleed. Give it a clean. Antibiotic cream, band-aid. Just check it. Just make sure that it's not continually bleeding. Broken bones and hitting your head are slightly different. They're a bit more serious. You'll be aware for a broken bone. Immobilize the area. Try not to use that part of the body. Visit an emergency room. And at the emergency room, what will they do? Yes, they will give you an x-ray and advise you how to proceed in the future. Same with hitting your head. Go to emergency room. It might be that you're feeling confused, nauseous, lightheaded, dizzy. So again, any head injury, emergency room, and don't take part in any further activity until a doctor has examined you. Very easy and straightforward, those. Right, moving on. Performance enhancing drugs and anabolic steroids. This is part of safety as well within sport. Safe practices, things we should be doing, and this is definitely something we should not be doing. Anabolic steroids are the most commonly used performance enhancing substance. They're a group of synthetic and natural substances that are chemically related to testosterone, and these have muscle building properties. So people take anabolic steroids for muscle building properties. What type of sports people might take these? 100 and 200 meter sprinters, so they've got muscle to get down and around the track. Weightlifters, maybe some wrestlers, Athletes who do throwing events such as shot put, javelin, discus, anyone that wants to build muscle. But people do take these and they know that there are some side effects, some of them very, very serious for men and women. But what are the long and the short-term side effects of taking anabolic steroids? I'll give you some clues. You should have covered this in the recent lessons that you have just been doing. So for men, how might it affect their infertility? For women, what might it do to their voice? And what might appear on their face? What about internal organs for men and women? If you are taking chemically enhanced drugs and you're putting them in your body for a long period of time, what's it going to do to internal organs? And then what's the most extreme that might happen to you if you keep taking this? Jot your answers down. Long and short, lots of clues I've given you there. Infertility. What about a woman's voice? What about what might appear on a woman's face? Think of internal organs, the damage that might get done there. And then what's the worst case scenario for a person taking these? They do have muscle building properties. They are illegal in sports, so people shouldn't take them. They shouldn't take them because they're illegal. They also shouldn't take them because of these long and short-term side effects of steroid use. So let's take a look at the answers that you've got on your piece of paper. We're going to check your answers against the answers from the actual lesson that you've just done very, very recently. So, men who use steroids over a period of months or years usually experience infertility. Women, what are the effects for women? May grow thick facial hair, develop deeper voices. They might lose their hair and become bald. Both men and women increase the risk of, this is why we spoke about internal organs, heart and kidney diseases, certain cancers, and even liver tumours. In the worst case scenario, I did ask you to consider the worst case scenario. It could even cause death. In addition to the physical side effects, it can also affect a person's personality. So hopefully, with the clues I gave you and the fact you've just studied this lesson recently, you should have got 3 or 4 of those. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, around about 9 things there. If you got 3 or 4, you did well. Right, moving on then to our last slide, our last question, and we're going to refer back to the very first lesson that we had. Think back to our very first slide. We had a definition of sportsmanship. What was that definition? The sentence was the quality of showing something, something, and something towards the opposing team or player and for the sport itself when competing. The 3 words that we were looking for are, the first one starts with a F, the quality of showing F, the second word was an R, and the third word was a G, F-R-G. What was that definition? The quality of showing F, R, and G towards the opposing team or player and for the sport itself when competing. And I'm going to give the answer in 3, 2, 1. And it was, of course, showing fairness, respect, and generosity. They were the answers that we were looking for. So that's the end of our PEB live lesson number 1 with me, Mr. Nichols. Again, a reminder, Google Chat, email me, no questions too small. I'm here to help you right until the end of the course. If you want to join my live help, check the schedule first because my times do vary on a week-to-week basis. 7 top tips to help you pass the course. I don't need to go through these again, but one thing to pay attention to is number 2. If you do need help with a question, send me those 3 things and I can get back to you quickly. The assignment or activity number, the full name and a screenshot. I can find out what you need and I can get back to you very, very quickly. But for now, from me, Mr. Nichols, your teacher, thank you and goodbye.